Hey guys, welcome back to the Yarnquisitions Knitting Podcast. I'm Victoria. You can call me Vic. You can call me Celine, or whatever you prefer. I have coffee. You can drink tea or your chosen beverage. Could be wine, depending on the time of day. Not that you can't day drink. And take a couple sips so you can get on with your knitting. If you're knitting or crocheting, or whatever you're working on, could be sewing. I don't discriminate here because I do knitting, crocheting, and whatever fiber art I'm in the mood for or have the compulsion to start. So we'll start with, I guess, what I'm wearing, since I don't have an old project today. As you can see, it's something I've worn before for a past episode. I'm trying to think of the word. And I still like this. I've had this for 2 years now, and it's made out of polyester, which is good for summer because it's like moisture wicking, and this design makes it so that my sweat doesn't like cling onto this fabric, and because it's polyester, you have to put it in the machine wash cold, tumble dry low, laundry basket. But enough of this. Since I didn't make it, I bought it. It was kind of expensive, okay, like, not gonna lie, it's kind of expensive. And I'll show you my finished object from last week, which is the jules genser, and I'm just showing it so you guys know like what it looks like in like on the rack. Is that a term people use? I don't know. And then I don't know, it's just so like dainty, and I don't know, there's something about this pattern that makes me like feel kind of happy. Is that weird? But it sucks that mohair just catches like all my loose hair and all like cat fur and everything, so I'm just always like picking stuff off of the mohair. Yeah. Oh, is that my stomach? But yeah, still like it. I'm probably gonna make another one and make this part shorter, probably like half the length. I think this is around 5 centimeters, so I'll probably do 2 centimeter and then split for sleeves, or yeah, something like that. But first I gotta wash this before I make the other one. I could probably start the other one and be fine. But I kind of don't want to work on small needles right now because I just finished this. So my finished object for this episode is the corselette tank. Well, it's mostly finished. I haven't washed it or blocked it or woven in the ends. I woven like some of the ends, but not all of them. And I'm not gonna snip it until I wash it, because this is my first time using a plant fiber. So I've heard that if you cut it too short, it'll just like unweave itself out of the knit. So that's kind of a nightmare. Not gonna lie, that's kind of scary. So the things I learned with this pattern is a lot. So I learned the German twisted cast on here, and you kind of have to guesstimate the cast on because you go around doing the cast on. And then I did double knit before, so that's not one of the things I learned. And then the Icelandic Bind Off is another thing I learned in this pattern. And the Judy's Magic cast on I learned for the strap. You start with the Judy Magic cast on, and then you knit down, and then you knit the other one, but also Judy's Magic cast on, but on the same cable, and then you knit down, and then you do the German twisted cast on. And she tells you how to do it, and she has a video, so it's all good. And it's a very simple way to do it, actually. A lot less hassle than like snipping things. You know what I mean? Well, you do have to snip one of them, but the other one, I don't think you got to. Well, actually, did I lie? It's been a while, so I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, the Icelandic stretchy bind off is actually not that stretchy with linen or just plant fibers in general. So in the pattern, it's suggested or recommended that you go up a needle size, but I did it because I didn't want it to be stretchy, because I was worried that it might not fit my waist. Even though this pattern is actually for my waist size, so yeah. And then my knitting gauge is 1 stitch off. So the knitting gauge in the pattern is 22 stitches by 30 something rows, and then my stitch gauge is 23 stitches by 30 something rows. But the rows are like pretty similar also. And I had to bump up to 4 millimeters instead of 3.75 millimeters because at 3.75 millimeters, my stitch gauge was like 25 or 26. So I think 4 stitches is way too much of a gap, I guess. Because it would have been much smaller if I had done it at that gauge. So it would have been a lot tighter. And this is already kind of tight, actually. So yeah, I'd rather be on gauge as much as possible. But yeah, I didn't want to go up to 4.5 millimeters because it would be too holy. Like, not Holy. Okay, it's Holey. Too many holes. I don't want that. And in the middle, I didn't tighten enough when I got to the middle stitch marker for some reason. but it like disappears halfway down, so I must have corrected it and like pulled on a little tighter. So that's kind of annoying, but it'll probably wash out or block out when I do wash it. And yeah, it curls because I haven't blocked it, but it like doesn't stay curled because it's not wool. Wool, I think, would stay curled unless it's like, unless you iron it or something. So yeah, you gotta be careful with that. But I think you can make this in wool, just not exactly sure how it would turn out. It would definitely be softer and like much more stretchier than in linen or a plant fiber. So yeah, looks great. I have tried this on, and the back and like the side, it does hit you at the natural waistline, but I'm also 5'3", like 5'3", so like around 160 centimeters. So because of that, if you're taller, you have a longer torso than standard size, then I would suggest knitting it longer. Or if you just want it longer in general, like this can cover my belly button, just like barely. So if you want it longer than that, then I would suggest knitting more rows in between the decreases. And these are the only decreases on this pattern. Everything else is German short row. Like here is German short row, over here is German short row, and these are the only decreases and no increases. So that's great, love that. Very simple pattern, very beginner friendly because the videos are all you need. That she links in the pattern. That Jack's knitwear links. And yeah, very nice. And if you have a smaller bust size like me, then this part will be less steep, I guess. But if you have a bigger bust size, it would complement your bust. I don't know. It would complement you better than if you have a smaller bust size like me. And I recently remeasured my bust size and I didn't know. I thought it was like 80 centimeters, which is about like 32 inches. But I'm actually 75 centimeters. I mean, with no bra on. With a bra on, I'm sure it'll go up significantly. But like with no bra on, it's 75 centimeters. And I'm just like, have I been making patterns that don't fit me? Like, but this one fits me, okay? So, it goes from really small, this is really small, okay? It's supposed to fit someone with 29 inches. So that's like me. And if I have a bra on, it would be pretty snug because it would go up like an inch. So it'd be like 30 inches for the bust size. So, and it goes up to, so this is size 1 and it goes up to size 9, which is pretty high. But I don't know what size that correlates to in like standard US sizes. Like, is that X large or double XL or 5XL? I don't really know. Maybe I should have looked at it before filming, but I didn't. So yeah. And so I used like 2 complete balls, but I have these 2 left over. This is like around half the size of a complete ball, and this is a complete ball for a comparison. So I guess you could get away with 3 balls of fingering weight yarn, but you have to double it. So because Lindy chain is such a weird ball, you can't actually get it from the middle, so you'd have to wind up this whole thing on a ball winder, or hand wind it yourself. So that would kind of suck, but yeah. So now I have so much extra. Actually about 5 for the olive top, but yeah, I'm sure I can squeeze out 1 more camisole out of this. I can probably make camisole number 4 in this color. Yeah, and it'll be fine. I think that's all for the corselette tank. I feel like I'm always saying it wrong. It's like corselette, right? Okay, take a sip of your beverage before we move on to the next one. Did I say what I'm drinking? I'm drinking coffee. And my next finished object are these 2 samples that I showed you last time. And also totally forgot to, did I forget to say, I don't remember if I said it or not, but this is my 2nd time filming this. I filmed it yesterday and it went on too long. It was like 1 hour 40 minutes, like, and it was complete trash. I dropped my phone, all the shit happened, so now I'm filming it again. So I'm trying to speed through this shit, so yeah. So yeah, as I said before, I made every single mistake you can make with weaving this tapestry. So it's tapestry with a pile. So on the back, you can tell that it started really, the width started really small and then it gradually got bigger. Like, I don't know what happened. Okay, that's just how it got. And then I also used 1 locking weft yarn with this linen, and that was a no-no. So I did 2 later because I barely did research when I started this. So yeah, so to make sure, so halfway through I like watched the video and I'm like, okay, so you have to do 2 locking wefts and then do another row of pile. And the weft yarn with the linen is like 2 sheds. That probably makes no sense if you don't know what a shed is. I can barely explain it myself, honestly, but it's like it's like you pick up 1 every other one, so that's 1 shed, or every other warp, that's 1 shed, and then you pick the opposite, the warps that you didn't pick up is the 2nd shed. That's what that is in this kind of tapestry. And then I also didn't do edge stuff to make it clean at all, so that's also another thing I didn't do, or another mistake, I guess you could say. And I ended this with I think it's called the Damascus knot, So it's kind of like the friendship bracelet knot, except instead of moving the yarn, or no, instead of moving the string that you just tied the knot with, you move, you just kick out or put up the one, I don't even know how to explain it. I guess you just have to look it up if you're curious. It's called the Damascus Knot. I believe, I could be wrong, because I just learned this last week. So it's like not that fresh in my mind. Yeah, and there's a few rows that I like pulled too tight, and yeah, that was like no good. Yeah. So one weft is tight, the other one has to go in between the warps. So yeah. But on the bright side, it does look like fur. I mean, technically it is fur, but it's like, I don't know, fluffy. So it'd be kind of nice just to like have this on your seat or something, to keep you warm. I don't know. Would that be nice? Thinking about it. But I don't know if I would make a bigger one with this yarn, honestly. Because it's soft, but not the softest. Okay, next one. And this is the one that I like more. Although you can see it, like the pattern on it from afar, but up close it's like not that good looking. I don't know. There's just something about it that's up close is like kind of sloppy looking. But on the back, it's super neat. Basically it looks like pixels. Yeah. So for this, I do prefer the back, but I think it's because I don't have enough pixels, I guess you could say. I don't know what it's called. But yeah, I did the sides, and it looks great except for at the top, because I forgot to look up how to end the side weft. So I kind of like did it jankily, like it's so shitty the way I did it. And I couldn't properly end the top either. And I also did Damascus knot here and at the bottom. I had to use like a crochet thread or lace crochet hook to do the ends because it's so short. Look at it, it's so short. But it's nice that you could just hide it, just like put it up or put it up or down, and then I could probably just tape that. But yeah, the back is like very rigid, and it almost feels like plastic because it's so like hard and stiff. It feels like plastic, but it's not plastic. So yeah. So the white is linen, the gray or the beige is like alpaca, 100% alpaca, and then the cream color is mohair and alpaca, and then the blue is wool and alpaca. So yeah, a lot of alpaca. And it is really soft to the touch. You could drag out my face, my neck. It's very soft. And the pile on this is about 8 centimeters. And the pile on this is 2 centimeters. So it's very different. This is more stiff, excuse me. And this is floppy. It's like floppy. So, depends on the look you want, I guess. And then I started, because I have no self-control, even though I said that I wanted to take a break from tapestry weaving, I started on another one. And I'm using a picture frame as my loom because I found it really hard to have it against something, and I wanted to see the back as well as I weave the tapestry, so I could check like if it's good or if it looks horrible. I mean, yeah, part of it looks fucking bad, like really bad, but already made several mistakes, at least 3. So I'll just list them off. So number 1, I didn't take into account that the warp that I'm using is made out of mohair and alpaca, which is stretchy. So I forgot how much stretch or how tight I should do it. I warped it like I did the other one, so it was pretty loose in general. But on this, it's kind of too loose. But now that I have like this much on, it's a little stiffer. So it doesn't last for long. The more you work it up, the more tension there is on the warp. So keep that in mind if you don't have an actual loom that can adjust tension. Because this one, obviously, I can't adjust anything after you warp it. So be careful. You just have to take in mind what you're doing. And then the second mistake that I made is not counting the warps at the end. Because I had in my mind that I would count, but then it slipped my mind because I was watching something. So yeah. And then and then my third mistake is this. Is putting this in after my what's it called? After doing the twining. Like, put it in after doing the twining. Like, you shouldn't do that. You should put this in first and then do the twining. But I just forgot. Because I thought that the picture frame would hold the twining on this ledge here, on the edge of the picture frame, but it doesn't. So yeah, learning curve right there. And it also doesn't hold this piece of paper either. And I cut the edge as well, so I shouldn't have done that. So that's the 4th mistake, I guess. Yeah. So, and because it just keeps moving down, this keeps getting like more and more slanted. So I think I'll just give up even trying to make it straight. Because at this point, it's kind of sucks. Or it's just too... It's not something I can control anymore at this point. And then the squares is 5x5, but they all like kind of look different sizes. So I think that's because of the way the warp is not consistent. So that's probably why the size of the width of the squares are different. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But I think it's also because it's more apparent if the squares are smaller. So if your squares make up like 10 or 15 pairs of warp, then you won't be able to tell as easily because yeah, they're just bigger. And I'm using shuttles. Well, they call these shuttles, but you can call them bobbins or whatever. But in weaving, usually you call them shuttles, and I use a bone folder to pick up the warp. Let me see if I could do this right. Or just to show you, this is not actually exactly how I do the warp, but yeah, something like this, and then you put your shuttle through, and then you pull it through, and then you can pack it down later. I pack it down like this with the bone folder sometimes, but it's better to pack it down, or I find it's better to pack it down with a crochet hook. This is my 2mm crochet hook. But yeah, it's whatever floats your boat because I don't have the proper tools to do this faster. Yeah, and then to cut the pile at the end, or after doing the locking wefts, I just lay it on top. The crochet hook does a 9mm, and then I just cut like this across. And then I have a piece of paper to catch it because I actually do this on my easel, which my phone is on right now, so that I'm not like bent over, my neck doesn't hurt. But now my shoulders might hurt because it's kind of high. Because it's like this height when I work on this. Yeah. And I used all the same stuff. Like the linen is for the locking wefts. This is the mohair and alpaca. Drops Nepal, drops Puna. And this dark blue is the finita yarn by We Are Knitters. You can buy them, who cares? If you like it, you like it. I like it, but their color variation or color choices are very limited, so that's kind of sucks. But a comparable yarn to the finita yarn is actually Jobs Flora. And I find Jobs Flora to be slightly more softer, but it doesn't have the color variation that the finita yarn has. Even though Jobs Flora is also a wool and alpaca blend like this one is. Wow, all my yarn is like an alpaca blend. Because yeah, Drops Nepal is also a wool alpaca blend. This is Aran weight. This is okay. I just dropped everything. And this is a fingering weight. This is also a fingering weight. And Drops Puna is a DK weight. So for the tapestry, I hold this double. I hold this triple. Where'd it go? In Drops Nepal is an Aran weight, so I'll hold a single. But I find that holding this double is slightly thicker than this Aran weight, but I can't do it single because the knot would be too small. So yeah. And then I did try to hold this quadruple, but when it's quadruple, it's a much thicker knot than the Aran weight. So I reduced it to triple or 3 strands. So yeah. But I think traditionally you're supposed to hold all of the yards in the same weights, double. So yeah. That's probably like maybe a faux pas that I'm doing, like it's like a no thing, but I'm just using the yarn I have, and these are the yarns I have that don't have a dedicated project, and it's also not a fluffy mohair. So yeah, these are just the extras I have. Yeah. And then the linen. Love it. It works great for this project. Actually, these two works really great. I regret buying so much for the linen though, because it looks like I haven't even used it. So yeah. And since I filmed yesterday, I did include this next whip, but I started it yesterday because I felt bad about not knitting, and I didn't feel bad about not knitting. I just needed something to knit, so this is it. It's the Franky sweater and the mykt pattern book or booklet. So there's only 3 sizes technically, but the X small is actually really fucking huge, or the X small to small is huge. It's a literal tent. So it's 129 centimeters, and then in inches it's 50 inches. Okay, and my bust is like 30, so that's like 20 inches positive ease. That's like the body I can probably fit my shoulders in as well. Like, what the fuck, that's huge. And I didn't know that prior to starting this. And then also I'm using a yarn that's like slightly thinner than the coarse yarn that is recommended, because there's a coarse edition and there's also a brushed alpaca edition. So yeah. And then so the coarse is 150 meters, and the yarn I'm using, which is the berroco mochi, is 175 meters per 50 grams. So yeah. But I'm just using recommended needles. So the recommended needles is 4.5 millimeters. And I actually didn't really understand the yoke at first. So in the beginning, I worked it circular, and then I was like really confused. And then I read the construction notes, and it says that you work flat first and then you join for the neck shaping, basically. So yeah, so the back will be higher than the front, and or it just maybe, yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting, and I guess that's one way to do your neckline, besides like knitting bottom up. But that's like pretty good or useful for more pattern knitting, even though this is technically just stockinette. And the raglan shaping is so interesting because you do more increases for the body and the back and the front, and then you do more increases for the sleeve. And I found that to be so weird. And I guess it's because they wanted to make like a flap of what do you call, a flap of knit that is like 2 sections, right? So the shoulder would have like this thin piece of fabric here, and then it's the body, so then it would be like this, and then it would just go down a little more, I guess. I don't know, but that's how it looks like in the pictures, because I don't know, it's just so strange. Oh, I don't know if you can see it though. Like, can you see that? It's just I don't know if you can see it. But if you look at the pictures online, it's this same photo. And then yeah, it's just like a flap here, and then it goes down more. So yeah, like the Franky sweater is technically a tent. And then the largest size is 149, so, or 149 centimeters. So I'm not really sure how big that is in inches. I'm assuming that's like 50. It's not 54. 58 inches, I guess. Because the smallest one is 50 inches, and then every size up is 10 centimeters, so that's 4 inches. So you just add 4 inches for every size, so that's 58 inches at the max. So definitely not all inclusive, but it goes. And the pattern says it technically goes up to 3XL. So take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, so I'm still working on the raglan, the first part of the raglan increases. But yeah, it's just such an interesting construction. And this is how much I got. And it looks kind of strange right now because it doesn't look like anything. But yeah, the neck hole, you can tell that this is the back, and then the front is here. And it doesn't say what kind of cast on to use for this section and the front. It doesn't say what cast on to use, so I just used the cable cast on, which is a type of knitted cast on. You go through or in between loops to cast on more loops. Yeah, so I just used that one because I know it's a stable cast on and it doesn't stretch like crazy. Because I find that for the neck, usually, yeah, I just don't want it to stretch like crazy. So yeah, I mean, I already know that it can fit over my head, just fine. So, and it's still like quite stretchy, even if it's like a cable cast on, just because of this yarn. This yarn is already like pretty stretchy. It's very similar to cos, in that it's a blown yarn, but I'm sure the quality is very different. And this is also a tweedy yarn. Cos isn't a tweed yarn at all. Yeah, so there's like pops of color every now and then. And this is in the red bean colorway by Berroco Mochi. It looks more mauve in person and not red, although red bean is like a brownie red. Yeah, I was looking for a much redder red bean color, but this is what I got. And the green one speaks to me. The blue one is so nice, but I'm not sure if I actually like this yarn, so I might try other blown yarns like Drops Air or Drops Wish, which is like which is only animal and plant fibers and no like polyester or that kind of thing. Or maybe I'll try the Holst Cielo, which is also a blown yarn. But I find that blown yarns are more expensive than just your standard worsted spun yarn. So yeah, just keep that in mind when you're looking for blown yarns. They'll always be more expensive. This was under $10 per ball, so like $9.50-ish or $9.60, so, or USD, and that was like on sale or discounted, and I got it from, what is it called, the Knitted Loft? I can't remember. I bought it a while ago, and it's like from somewhere in Washington or Oregon. Yeah, it's basically a warehouse, so yeah, and it's nice and light and soft, so hopefully this will be soft. And the pattern recommends 7 skeins, but I translate it to meters, and I have enough meters technically and not enough balls because I have 6 balls of this, so I should be good. I could always make the body shorter or something like that, because the body is also very long. It's like 57 centimeters or something. Yes, 57 centimeters, which I'm okay with 52 centimeters, so that's kind of long. And then the sleeve length is 41, which is also very long for a sleeve length, because this is like much wider in length or in width than my standard size. So 41 is normal for a normal sweater, but this is a tent, so it'd probably be like down to here or something. Yeah, so yeah, but my knitting gauge I just checked yesterday is 19 stitches per 10 centimeters, and for this pattern it's 18 stitches. So I calculated it, and it should be 42 inches on me. No, is that? No, that's too little. It would be 120 centimeters. So it would be 9 inches or 9 centimeters off. So that's about 4 inches less. So that's 46 inches. So a little smaller, and yeah, more like wearable for me. Yeah, anyways, I didn't even show you the yarn ball, but yeah, this is what it looks like. It's very neutral, muted. Oh snap, do you see this? I might have to cut this out actually, and then just magic knot it together. I'm assuming that this is like one of the ends or something, and then they just had to apply it together somehow, or twist it together. Yeah, probably have to cut that out, but that's not too big of a deal. That's pretty easy to do. At this point, I just magic knot everything because it's just so much easier. You don't have to like painstakingly weave in ends and then just hope that it never comes out. Like, that's a nightmare. And then, oh, I forgot to show you this, but this is just like my calculations and then what I want the finished weaving tapestry to look. Yeah. Okay, take another sip because my throat is dry. Okay, let me check the time for this. Oof. Oh no, I can't see the time at all. Oh no, it's an hour already. So I'll let you guys go. Obviously, I ramble on too much, even though I have like less projects. So hope you guys have a good one, and it's a nice day, so go outside. It's hot where I am, but it's not hot everywhere. So hope you guys have a good one, and happy knitting, crocheting, weaving, fiber art stuff. And yeah, see you guys next week. Bye.